Well, what's poppin', man? It's your boy Trip G. We are here again for another episode of Blunt Convo, man. As y'all see, we got a new setup here, man. We got Blake here. He's behind the camera now. You know, he's actually in front of it. We got Miss Lique joining us. Yeah, man, we just have to switch it up a little bit and get into some stuff. So before that, real quick, Blake, can you tell us a little backstory about, like, you know, your experiences when you was it Shenzhen? Yeah. And also California. Which part of California were you in when you were working?
Man, I lived in San Francisco for like 3 years, and I lived in LA for like 3 years.
Yeah. So what was the experience like in those places compared to being here in Oklahoma City?
How long do we have? You know, how long do we have? Okay. Where do I start? Hold on. Can we ask me one question
At a time.
I can't. Yeah, like, ask me about one of those places, and it'll help me. My brain fractals.
Okay. What was Shenzhen like?
Man. All right. People, I'll tell you, it's like this. People assume a lot about China, and they don't know the half of it. You know, like everywhere you talk about, you know, you see it on the news, and it's this abstract idea. It's like, oh, you know, somebody mentions China, and you're like, it pulls some, you know, some imagery. It pulls like kind of a feeling in a sense, but it's so far away and so distant. Yeah. And then when you actually get into the thick of it, and I was in Shenzhen for 3 years.
Wicked.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I'll say like this. Before I went to Shenzhen, I was living in LA, right?
Yeah.
But I would leave Shenzhen to come to LA so that I could chill. So I could
Really?
relax.
Wow.
To go to LA to relax.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
Interesting as fuck.
Right?
Why
Yeah.
LA to relax?
Man, Shenzhen is a crazy city. It's a, you know, I think everywhere's got kind of a vibe. Everywhere has like an essence. Yeah. And Shenzhen is about industry. And it's about business, and it's about working and advancing career. Yeah. And it's driven to that point where, like, if 20 million people are on that tick where that's all they think about and that's all that their motivation is. Yeah. Money oriented, producing stuff, developing products. Yeah. All that stuff is very very hands-on, very like get in and like make something happen, and that just permeates everywhere. Wow. Dude, I had a thing. It's crazy. This is weird. I don't know what this really was. Maybe like Wi-Fi signals or something. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard like a modem, like word, like, you know, old like dial-up?
Yeah.
Old. I know a dial. You know, I used to have to use dial-up. You know, but dude, when I was there at times, I'd be like in my apartment, concentrating or doing whatever, and I could hear this like high-pitched whirring, like the dial-up frequency like changing. Yeah. And I don't know if it was antennas on the building, something in the air, 20 million minds all running. I have no idea. But yo, that stuff was there it's there all the time.
Just that ring, you were just...
I would notice it when it was quiet.
So everything's just going.
Yeah.
That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's a thrum, man. It's just like, what's crazy, I didn't even know about Shenzhen until I moved there. I went to go visit, and I had no sense of it. And it's like the biggest city in China coming out of Hong Kong. And I had been to Hong Kong. I thought that was a big city, you know, but Shenzhen has, I'm pretty sure the last I checked, it was like 20 million people.
What made you go there in the first place?
I got caught up.
Yeah.
I was in LA. No, it was kind of some circumstantial stuff. I was in LA, and I was, you know, making the rounds, you know, just day playing and going from set to set. You know, one day you're on a music video, the next day you're on something for Disney, and then you're on, you know, something for like Vice, and then you're on some behind the scenes for HBO, and it's just like, you just kind of pop around, you're day playing. You just get picked up by various crews, you know, as you make connections or whatever.
Right.
But I was doing that, but I wasn't making the inroads that I wanted to make. I was definitely going for, like, you know, I love narrative. I want to make movies. Like I love narrative, like, or episodic stuff. Just something with a story, you know, something with character development is like really, that's the jam. Yeah. But I wasn't making the right inroads in that, and I was getting on sets, and I was like working lighting crews, you know. I did as much camera stuff as I could, but sometimes it's like, hey, can you come and light with us? And I'd be like, yeah, that's days, you know, that's pay.
Right.
And that was cool, and I gained a ton of experience. But I wanted to shoot more, and I wanted to be more effective, I think. And I feel like I was frustrated by that. Yeah. And so the opportunity came to go to Shenzhen, And I was like, cool, I'm in between sets. I'll go there. I'll check it out. But while I was there, LA shut down the loft that I was living in.
Oh,
Like
wow.
the city shut down the loft because it was like the guy who was renting it to us all, it wasn't zoned properly or something. Yeah, and what had happened was there was the ghost ship fire in San Francisco, and that killed like 30 people or something because it was this congested like living space for people, and it wasn't really zoned properly, and it wasn't necessarily safe. And then California started to look at all these little places, and they were like, huh, seems like a lot of people are living here.
Yeah.
That's not for that. And
Right.
and then they got in and they shut it down. So while I was gone, they shut down my loft, and it was like I didn't really have anything to go back to like that. Yeah,
You just decided to stay kind
at the
of thing.
time. Yeah, I decided to stay because I get there and I'm like, there's levels to like video production skill and levels to like the approach and stuff. But I got to Shenzhen and I was looking around and I got exposure to some other crew and shooters and stuff, and I was like, I didn't really realize where I was or how far I had developed, and it was kind of a measuring tape of that. Like I got in and I was like, I'm like head and shoulders above the production here.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was.
Let's be blunt.
But I mean that's what it was. It was just like, I was like, I saw people like going for it really hard, and they had great initiative and they were willing and like eager to do it. But as far as technique and stuff, I was like, it felt like some student film, which is cool too. But if you're in a city where it's all about production and stuff, it's like, oh man, just put the right resources together and you should be able to check all these boxes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess with that, because also Lique, she's from, where you from again? One more time. I keep wanting to say Colorado. Okay, Colorado.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yes.
I want to talk about your experience too in being here. But with being out in Shenzhen, California, now you're here.
Yeah.
How is the adjustment to that?
The difference between, I told you, bro, coming out of Shenzhen to actually relax in LA is a wild thought.
It is.
Especially being around where we are now, especially being around Oklahoma City and stuff.
Yeah.
So I came back to America, and I was going to go back to LA, but then COVID shut the city down. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to pay $3,000 a month rent and not have any work lined up. I'm gonna go see how this shakes out in Oklahoma, where my family, I'm from around here. But I mean, there was, especially with COVID and all the stuff that was happening at the time, man, time stood still. There was like 8 months where like sensory deprivation, like decompression. And before I left Shenzhen and went to Australia for like a few months because I knew it was going to be weird. I knew I was going to have to come in stages, and it was like somewhere that wasn't where I had to immediately get back into like living pace or whatever. Right. But yeah, time stood still, man. I mean, there's this amazing thing that I encountered in China, or like in Shenzhen at least, where it's like here we'll have an idea and you talk about it, you think about it, you plan. And you do that until you're pretty sure the idea is solid and it's gonna work, right? Most people do it. That's how we operate in like the Western thought. Man, in China, it's like, here's an idea. Let's start doing it. Even if you don't know the steps, even if you don't know the obstacles you're gonna face. And then it's like, as soon as you hit the wall, well, then you adjust the idea. And then you hit the next wall, and then you adjust the idea. So it's like mad initiative. It's like, why not just start it, just get all the pieces together. And I'll say this too, because of the locale, like, you have access to all kinds of, it's a really tech heavy like city like that. So you had access to like, 3D printers and laser cutters and, CAD machines and all this stuff. They have like after school programs where like the kids will go to a lab and then you're like laser cutting wood, or you're like, you're making diagrams, like 3D modeling stuff that's literally to cut out to make a prototype.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when when TikTok shut down for that day, a lot of people joined the Red Note app. I don't know if you guys joined the app.
I don't know what that is.
And so apparently it's
I feel
similar.
like I lived it.
Right.
You know?
It's similar to TikTok, but it is a Chinese app,
Yeah.
and it's all in Chinese. And so a lot of people were joining, and America seemed to have a huge wake up kind of moment when they were seeing how advanced it is over there, the cost of living versus what they make. And what was your experience with that? Was it like very shocking to you as well, as far as like cost of living and?
Yeah. I don't know. That wake up, I understand that wake up. There was a point. I mean, like, you have to. China has like 3-4 billion people. Like, you don't even like. There's a scale of magnitude between like millions and billions. You know, you talk about a billionaire. Like, you can't even. I heard like Elon Musk has like multiple $1 billion, right? They said if you started in like Neanderthal times and stashed like $30,000 a day every day, and got up to the present day, you lived this long, you still wouldn't have as much money as this dude. You know, like you can't. The scale of magnitude is crazy. Most people don't have any scope of that. It's impossible to fathom.
Yeah.
Okay, it's super real.
Yeah.
Hold on, where was I going with that? Okay, scale of magnitude. Right? No, I had a thought. Hold on, this is gonna happen from time to time, I promise. This just got a lot going on, guys. Yeah, so.
I love it.
Fair.
Okay, so scale of magnitude. When you got billions of people, you can't set up a society where only the people who have access to stuff can eat. Because like I'm in Shenzhen, but a lot of the people come there to work, and it pulls specialists and it pulls educated people. But there were a lot of people in that city who were like from the country. And I'm not talking like from a rural area, like, you know, a small town, Oklahoma. Like, there's places in the country where these people have like dirt floors and they don't have running water. And that's like deep China, you know? I was in like the cutting edge international city, like premier city.
Wow.
But dude, imagine if there's like 20 million people there, but then there's like, you know, 2.5 billion people out in the countryside who are just like rice farmers or whatever. Like, they got to eat. So you got to make it affordable for them. All of them, much less the people who are like, you know, cruising through Shenzhen in the Bugatti, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, food, there's like expensive food, you know, like the westernized food where they try to like make a hamburger, you know, and that might be a little more expensive than, you know, that might be more expensive than whatever traditional Chinese cuisine you could get. But there's also like street level food where it's like, nah, man, you got to be able to go pick up, you know, a bao for like 50 cents. You know, I need like, you know, like a little rice bun. So that was a crazy thing. It's like we could all go eat and drink beer, and it could cost like, and we could do it for like 2 or 3 hours and have all the food we wanted, and it's like $30.
That's crazy.
Equivalent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's like $30 equivalent.
Wow.
Bro, the one that really got me, this is where I started to like, this is like made me lean back. I had to take my girlfriend at the time to the hospital because she drank like some bad booze. Like sometimes, this is dirty, but sometimes they'll take like a bottle and they pop it and they pour out part of it and they put worse stuff in it. You know, like yeah, it's like it's so you can essentially like spread it out and it'll taste
Save
the
some
same.
money, right?
Yeah, but what they're putting in is like methyl alcohol, which can
Ooh.
like kill you. You know.
Wow.
Oh.
So you can get sick as fuck about that. Like it can mess you up.
Yeah.
So she was having a problem, you know, and we go to the hospital and they put an IV in. They give her medicine. We check with the doctor, all this stuff to get her feeling all right, where she's not like dry heaving, you know. And I think it was $20.
What?
That's crazy.
$20.
And it was advanced, like an advanced hospital.
I mean, like, yeah, it's like it's in Shenzhen. It's premier. It's just like,
That's crazy.
yeah, and it's like we're foreigners. We didn't even have health insurance. Like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we showed them our passports, and they're like, okay, come on in. Dude, in America, the stuff in an IV is salt water.
Yes.
Why is salt water $1,200?
Like 2 Tylenol is $80.
Yeah, why is that?
2 Tylenol.
Nah, for real.
That begs the
For real.
question. You know, you asked about what it's like and like cost of living, and I mean the apartment, like what we paid in the apartment that we lived in was like cramped. You know, it was one of the smallest apartments I've ever lived in, which is, you know, it was an experience. You know, tight quarters, but relatively affordable. But all the cost of living of everything else was just like, you know, I could get a taxi cab across town. I'm talking from one side of the city to the other for like $12. You know, I can't catch an Uber a mile for $12 now. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's an interesting fact. You know, that's an interesting like thing to compare to how we live here in America. You know, if we're going like international, if we're going like as a whole, you know. But that stuff was crazy.
That's
Right.
wild. That's wild.
That's what I heard. A lot of people were shocked when they were like,
Yeah.
what? 2 pounds of corn is only 90 cents? When it's like
That would blow my
$8
mind.
here.
Yeah, but I'll say this. Yeah. But I'll say this too. Like, that's a thing. But then it's also in Shenzhen. It's like you go to a nice place. Like, okay, they don't have we have this thing in our toilets. Okay, where it's like a little S pipe. Okay, it's an air trap. Yeah. So that gas from the sewage doesn't come back up through your toilet and make your house smell like sewage. Okay.
Right.
They don't have that. Most places don't have that.
Oh.
There was a co-work space that I went in to look at for like a little office, and as soon as I get off the elevator, the bathrooms were right there, and I was just like, boom. And I went in and I looked around, and they were very polite and they're very accommodating, and it's normalized. So maybe I'm just spoiled.
Not
I'm
used to
spoiled on
it.
my Americanness or whatever. But dude, I get there and I was like, I appreciate you guys showing me this place, and they're like, so are you gonna sign up with us? They're really like trying to go the hard sell, And I was like, listen, I can't have clients walking in here potentially, and the first thing they smell is toilet, like bad, Yeah. And dude, it's the same thing. Like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, those are all factors, but then have you ever had to squat to go to the bathroom, like in a public place? Like, imagine if you went into a ladies' restroom in like the park or whatever, and there's just like little
A hole in the floor.
yeah, and there's no divider, and it's just like somebody's grandma's over there like taking a shit.
No.
Yeah. Imagine this,
Yeah,
okay? Because there's that too. So I'm just saying, y'all, like on the, what was it called again? What's the
Red Note.
Okay, Red Note. Yeah, Red Note. China's got its it's got its charm, it's got its weirdness, it's got its nuance. People live like that. But I would just say, I said this too when I came back, man. Be really careful about thinking that. In general, be really careful about thinking that you got it bad, and that things are just like never going to be good for you, because it can be a different kind of way, and you can, that's the realest I can be about it. It's a different experience. They have some things worked out better than we do, as far as like accessibility to like food and stuff. But then and we're learning things about food right now in America that is, we're trying to educate ourselves, like not from the government down.
Right.
We're trying to educate each other, right?
Right.
But and share information as freely as possible. But I've never really worried about there being like plastic in my rice. Like, I'm not talking about like microplastics, because that seems to be an issue. I'm talking about like literally, like, imagine if half the rice you bought was actually plastic.
A plastic piece
shaped
of
rice.
Right.
Rice shaped plastic is what I mean. I didn't really ever think about that. In Shenzhen, they were like, hey, be careful. Or like, you can get like spicy fish, and they're like, some people are like, hey, be careful in the spicy fish dish. It's delicious, right? But you can cover up a lot of foul like fishness if the fish is bad, or if it's a few days old, or if it's not the best, like freshest, You can cover up a lot of that with flavor and spicy sauce.
Right.
There's a thing, for all you Red Note fans, right? There's a thing called gutter oil.
What?
Gutter oil, where these street level vendors and stuff, or restaurants, I don't know, I don't know who all does that. Bro, where you go and they scoop out the oil, like they scoop out oil from the gutter, literal, and then they put it in their fryers, or they put it in their pans and they cook with that shit, and then they'll feed you that. Yeah. So, guys, Red Note. Red Note, dude. And I'm not like, listen, I'm not anti. I'm just saying you have to like.
The grass isn't always greener.
Build a whole.
That's real.
Build a whole picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take everything into consideration, okay?
Right.
And it's, no hate at all. It's just like, it's kind of like you have to do one of these.
You gotta weigh your odds. Man. Do you want?
Can you
I'd rather
imagine?
pay a little bit more for my, comfortability and cleanliness.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. There's some other little cute things about China. People don't like to, like hawking, like coughing up phlegm and stuff.
Yes.
In China, like in Chinese culture, it's a thing where it's like, okay, you want to get that out. Like you're expectorate, you know, like you can get that stuff out, dude. But it's really wild whenever like somebody's like little old grandma lady with a cane is like walking up behind you and she's like, and you're like, whoa. And then she just like hawks a look, it's just, you know?
No.
Yeah, but like imagine, but like everybody.
Right.
But like everybody. Anybody at any point.
Can't.
I'm talking like, dude, like snorting, like, just like, and you're like, bro.
Ugh.
Save it for
I
at
hawk up
home.
movies. I'm not gonna lie.
Everyone
But,
does. We all have to
Everybody
spit.
does, but let's do it in the privacy of our home,
Everyone
in
does.
the bathroom.
But to be socially accepted, where it's just like, oh no, that's cool. Like, good one, you know? And
Shit.
it's just you take it.
Man, we got a guest that just popped up and scared the shit out of me, man.
Yeah.
Come in.
I didn't even see him till like the third time I looked over there.
What's
That's
good?
so funny.
Oh, we're
Good,
good, man. We're good, man. For y'all that don't know, my one of my favorite people in the world just stepped in on the scene, man. Shout out to Trail. Shout out to the home team, you know. But yeah, hawking up loogies and
Bro, I'll tell you, there's a thing too. You know how we have lines for things? You know how we have you stand in a line,
Right.
right? And everyone, if someone arrives to your place before you, you assume that they're probably gonna get deference, you know, like you can
Right.
go before me. If we walk at the door at the same time, even, you know, it's like, oh, you're one step in front of me, okay, you got it, you know, go ahead. Dude, in Shenzhen, they don't have that concept necessarily. Or like, what it is like a lot of these country people come into the city for work, they don't have that concept, dude. And so, you know, you're trying to get into an elevator, but everyone's like getting off work, and man, you're standing there and people will flood around you and like, bump, dude.
It's free for all.
We get, you know, you bump into people sometimes. You're like, oh, my bad. Especially, dude, I don't know, in Oklahoma, you know, we tend to give each other a little more space, I think. It's not like, we're not that crowded like that. But dude, personal space stuff, just like getting jostled and like bumped into. Yo, even if it was a line, like going through like customs and stuff. Dude, to have somebody bump into your backpack from behind every little half step you take forward, after like the 5th time they do that, even if you don't speak the same, you know, even if you don't understand the same language, like having to turn around and be like, would you stop that? Yo, back up. Back up. And it's like, again, that's crazy, dude. This is like, there's no sense. They don't think that's rude, you know? Like this dude's just trying to get as close as he can, go through as fast as possible. But it's like, could you not?
back up.
Dude.
Yeah.
On that same note.
Personal space.
Dude, on that same note, I'm telling you, until you've been walking down the sidewalk and within like a block, you know, like 80 different people cross you up on the street. Yeah. You know, if we saw each other walking down the street, you know, I'm going to take a tack where like we aren't going to walk right towards each other. I'm not going to try to step in front of you and stuff. I'm going to show you like we allow each other to know that there's a way to walk past without interference, you know?
Yeah, straight up.
Of course. But dude, to walk a block and have 80 different people like cutting back and forth, you know, and it's like you try to make a move and you're just like, oh shit, you know? And at the end, I'm talking like, dude, imagine if somebody got a step away and is walking like they're walking right towards you and they're leaning this way and then they just cut back the other way. That will mess with you. That gives you like
mentally.
Yeah, that gives you this thing where you're like, oh man, that's crazy. Yeah. I still remember it. Like it's such a weird feeling of halting and like uncertainty, you know. Mm-hmm. And to have that happen continually is just like I got to a point, man. I got to a point after being there for long enough where I was like, I would just walk straight forward, like dead-eyed, and not act like I was gonna move at all, you know? And then I just let them flow. I just let it flow. And that's like, I wasn't even trying to be rude. I was just like, I can't guess I can't guess which way everybody's gonna, juke.
Yeah, like fuck this. This is
Just walking, dude.
couldn't do that. Wow.
Or bro, you get on the subway. I use public transportation a lot because it's like really good public transit, But you get on the metro or whatever, and the idea is like the thing goes off, and then you got to get off the train before people can get on the train, okay? Yeah. But like some people didn't like clock that. And they would try to force their way on the train as you're trying to get your ass off the train, okay? Yeah. And it's like, you can do that, by the time you've done that like 1,000 times, dude, I got to the point where instead of trying to like, I'm pretty good at flowing through people too, dude. I can slide through a crowd. Very little, without even really touching anybody if I want to, okay? But dude, it got to the point where I would just like set my shoulders and I would just like tense up across my chest, and I would just walk through broad-shouldered.
Straight, like.
And just like, and it could be anybody could get it, dude. And if they bounce off me, bro, and it's just like, I'm like, yeah, man, I can't, like, you're not gonna just move through me like I'm not here. You gotta let me off the train before you get on the train, dude.
Yeah.
This is like, so Red Note fans, China's wonderful. And they're trying to do a lot of stuff, but like, there's a lot to it. There's a lot going on, man. These people, like, everyone's socialized differently. Yeah. And it's the other side of the planet, and they're shut. Dude, there were protests going on in Hong Kong when I was in China, dude, because China was taking Hong Kong back from like Britain, okay? Like wow. It was a colony. It was like an imperialistic thing, okay? Yeah. And they didn't even want to get taken back. They didn't. They were like their own culture, They've developed their own culture, and China's like, okay, you're ours again now. Bro, I was in Shenzhen, and people did not know that was happening. Because of information. Right. Because as great as China seems on Red Note and stuff, it's an authoritarian system, y'all. Yeah. And we got our own issues with like information and flow of information and what we get told, but like you have to realize like whenever that information's like disseminated like that, it trickles down. They can be controlled, Mm-hmm. And then your thoughts are controlled, and then you're indoctrinated into something, so.
And I think that was like the biggest shock for Americans when they did get on Red Note is we have kind of had this belief of what China was and how it is over there and how we have it all figured out and they don't, and so they're all over there just suffering with all these people. And so I think that was like the biggest shock was, oh wait, we're being fed propaganda too. What? Yeah. And I think that was the biggest shock. Not that they like live well over there, but that like, wait, we have propaganda in America? So,
and for what that's really the mirror, right. The mirror that gets held up. And people do live well. I mean, there's some super rich people. There's some super rich cities. It's just that it's another situation where like not everyone can have that. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's dad owns a factory. Yeah. Not everyone created like WeChat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just a system, and they got to make it work. And I got to tell you, what people talk about, even like the social credit score and stuff. This is to be completely objective, but people are like, oh, that's like mad oppressive, and it's gonna like really give people an advantage and stuff. But on the flip side of that, can you imagine trying to control? And I mean that literally, like trying to control like 3 billion people, trying to keep everybody in check. Because, bro,
yeah, that's
nuts. People would not like. There's no, bro. You can get away with damn near anything that's like socially weird. I saw people park on like the side of the highway, like just pull up onto the grass in front of a business. Like this isn't a parking space, this is the sidewalk, but they just do it. And they might get a ticket, but there's like no cops around. There's never any cops around, but like every building had a security guard of sorts. I mean, they just kind of hang out because no one's gonna do anything like that.
Right.
But then people are like, oh, well, then there's no police around. It's like really safe. Yeah, but there's like mad cameras everywhere. And if anybody crosses any line, you're going to got like real quick. Like within moments. It can be like, hey, scramble. We've been tracking this person all the way through the city, and we see everything they do. And like, let's bring up their history of like what else they did this week or like this month. And just, let's go get them. Yeah. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
China was nuts, bro, and I didn't listen. I can talk shit now, but dude, I wasn't talking shit while I was there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We notice it, and you talk with like expats and stuff, and it's crazy, dude. This is some funny. This is a funny thing. Okay, you can be, bro. This is a phenomenon. I don't know what this is. You can be a total like trash bag of a human wherever you're from, wherever you live, right? And everyone knows, and you're just like scummy. and then you go to another country, you go somewhere like China,
Yeah.
and you're different enough, and people are kind of awed by the fact that you're different and stuff, and you can posture like you're like amazing, but you're back home, you're just an absolute dumpster fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and because it's like no one knows, or like no one has any scope of it.
I think I've ran across a few of you here.
I
I think I ran across a few of you here. You go to a different country, you're somebody else. You come here, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a phenomenon. Yo, on the flip too, I met some I had some really cool dude. Some of my Chinese homies, man, I had some really cool people interact with me and show me the ropes and honestly translate for me and stuff like that. I struggle by on like Google Translate, but they don't have Google in China. So it was like WeChat Translate. Yeah, they don't have Google in China. All the Gmails and stuff. You can't do that. They didn't have Facebook. If I wanted to get on my Facebook, I had to do a VPN.
Oh.
Yeah, but everybody has VPNs because it's just you understand that.
Yeah.
And some people, I'll say this too, some people have an awareness of the fact that their government's authoritarian, but they live there and they might not be able to even get out.
Right.
They might not be able to naturalize. They may not be able to even get the right passport or something. So I think there's opportunities within any system at the end of the day. That's my trying to balance out all that stuff, because I say all the funny, those are funny little quirky nuances, but it's just people are just people no matter where you go is what it is.
Right. People are people. At
the end of the day, they want their families to be taken care of, They want good opportunities for their children. I mean, what are we doing? That's and honestly, conservative China, on some notes, dude, conservative China is so much like conservative America. You'd be amazed, dude. Family values, traditionalism, all this kind of stuff. There was some of that stuff where I was like, yo, if y'all went to the same barbecue, you'd have a great time.
Right.
Straight up, it was crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope, bro. That's crazy. I couldn't imagine. I've never been out the country before, only a few states. So that's a crazy experience. Before we get into Lique, though, let's take a quick little break, then we'll segue into the next part of the interview, and then pick up from there.
Okay, yeah. So I originally came to Oklahoma because of the cannabis scene. It was touted as the green rush, when it first started here. And it really was kind of like the Wild West. You kind of could get away with doing anything out here, So a lot of people came here for that. And as I came out here and the industry kind of settled, it just kind of got a little disappointing, to be honest. But yeah, that's really why I came here. But now I'm kind of just trying to do the more creative thing. I write poetry, I write books, and paint, stuff like that, I have a lot of opinions on things, so I'm lucky to be here.
So, as far as how Blake was giving us the experience of China, and I mean, I guess that's a country thing, so that's that's a huge difference. But is there any perspectives that you take away from Colorado that you see in Oklahoma City, or is there anything that you resonate with here?
I think here it's definitely it's a big city, but it feels very much like a small town. Colorado Springs is sort of like a small town vibes there too, especially before weed went recreational. It was very much small town. It seemed like everything was 15 years behind the rest of the world. You'd go to Denver and hear all these new songs, but in Colorado Springs they were playing super old songs, Right. So I kind of have that vibe for Oklahoma. It does have that small town, but it is big. it seems like, I've been here 5 years, and it seems like everyone kind of knows my business somehow. And I'm like, how? Because I'm a private person. Like, what? How does that work? So there's that.
Yeah, they do know your business.
Yeah, so that's fun. Making lifelong friends. But yeah, the people here have been really interesting to get to know. I've met some really solid people. There's a lot of creative minds here. That's one thing I noticed about OKC.
Hell yeah.
So I like that about it.
Real quick, I just noticed something I may want to ask you. So, like, do you pull your shades over your glasses?
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll switch them out, but yeah, I do.
Okay. Just had to ask. I see you was double. Had the shades and the glasses. But that's what's up. I haven't been out to Denver. I haven't been out to Colorado at all. But yeah, for myself, I do need to move around more as far as just doing shit to live and see what it's about. But with the experience of both of y'all now and y'all here in Oklahoma, welcome. I know you're from here, but
Man, I am and I'm not, When I was in, you mentioned LA. When I was in LA, they thought I was from like Northern California.
yeah.
They're like, Blake, I thought you were from like, I think he said like Chico or something. He was like, big beard. I bet you like beer. And I was like, yeah, When I was in Shenzhen, they thought I was from Canada.
Wow.
Canada.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Because as much like, I mean, as if you're from a place like America's not, they take a lot of everybody can throw shade online. Everyone can say whatever they want. There's like unbridled opinions. We're super informed, but America's not the worst place to be from, and you can make a lot of things happen. And you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a weird reflection on you. But it's like I was polite and I was, kind of quiet and pleasant to be around. And I guess the idea from most of the people, these people are from like, Germany or France or Russia and all this stuff, and they're like, thought I was from Canada.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, it's because I didn't show up, with this kind of like, I don't think I necessarily carry like a sense of entitlement like that.
Yeah.
And I think that they associate that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nah, man, I'm just, give people space to be. And as an American, you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to be like belligerent about it.
Yeah.
So many people are so belligerent
Definitely.
about all their stuff, and it's just like
So,
easy.
I want to ask, from y'all's perspective, do y'all enjoy being here? Like in y'all's relative, lane of what y'all doing, y'all career paths, do y'all enjoy doing it here?
Honestly, I have learned so much being here. Like, me moving to Oklahoma has broadened my horizon so much. I don't know if it's necessarily because of Oklahoma or just because I decided to like really put myself out there when I decided to come here and really push and try to create my own friend groups and, make the life I wanted to. So there are a lot of good things that came from me being in Oklahoma. So I have had a generally good experience. I haven't necessarily been on the trajectory that I had envisioned when I moved here as far as the cannabis industry goes. But I've had a lot of really cool experiences and I've learned a lot. I got to be head of cannabis and culture for the Oklahoma Women's Journal, and that was a cool experience for the short-lived time that was around. So like I've had a lot of cool experiences here, and I like that.
Yeah. What about you, Blake? I know you've done some dope shit. We've done some dope shit. I know you got some good shit, but there's still that other side, which we'll get into because I'm going to definitely shed some light on the other side of the bullshit that goes on here in this culture, this city.
Man, I'll say like, let me think about where to start, okay? Just let me think about where to start. I want to be fair. I always want to be fair, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's crazy because I'm from here, dude. I grew up in Mustang, I grew up in Mustang, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I've been around in other places, and it's like, man. We're gonna have to edit this down too, okay? You're asking me some shit. This is some life stuff, It's not just like I've been other places where I moved and it wasn't as it wasn't as like I didn't have to be so introspective about it, I was just seeing what I could do to get out there. I'm back in Oklahoma, full circle, This is my full circle moment. Oh my God. Okay. Listen.
Look, be blunt, okay?
I've got for the stuff I do, okay, for my interest, okay, for video production. Dude, I left here because whenever I was like fresh out of college, I would go places and I'd go out to get a beer or whatever after my job. You know, I was valet parking cars at the time because what video production am I gonna do? Yeah. My parents were like, "Oh, you want to get a job at Fox at the news station?" And I was like, "No, I don't. That's not what I'm going for. That's not it for me." And no hate. Don't get me wrong. You know, news production's great, but like, it's not for me. That's not what I was saying. That wasn't my end game. Yeah. We really like in the editing note, we really actually have to cut that out. I have a cousin who's in news, and we can't say that. I don't want. No, I'm saying I love. You know, I don't. It's all love.
It's all love.
It's just not for me. Okay.
Clip it before you send it to
I know. Like, I was like, oh, I can't. No. Oh, so, but I'm just saying they saw. Well, I mean, so that's like they saw this one channel. They're like, that was their limited experience with it, and that was the only access they had to it. And I was like, no, that's not really it. But I'd be like, I'm a cinematographer, and I'd be out, you know, I'm out talking to people and whatever, and I could literally watch them in the moment, stop listening, and just kind of drift away, to the point of turning and just walking away without saying anything else. Yeah, and maybe it was my delivery at the time.
Bro.
Yo, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And if that happens, I'm just telling you, that happens about, you know, a dozen times, maybe 20 times, and you're just like, I'm not in the right place, you know?
I feel that.
And so I had to go to like find a place, you know, or find your people, find the people who got it or who were willing to contribute to that. And you know, when coming back, like there's a lot more to it, but like this whole full circle, like coming back, the industry's grown up here to some degree. It feels less. It's a budding industry.
Yep.
It's in its infancy, and there's people who've been doing it here for 10, 15 years, like while I've been gone, like busting my knuckles and getting skills and getting access to some of these different sets and stuff. And I see a lot of enthusiasm, but the real rub to me, and this is no hate, but the real rub to me is I fear that a lot of the people who have come up in it here while I was away came up in it underneath this weird gatekeeping environment, okay? Yep. And so the tendency, there's some really warm, inviting people, okay? And it's just like, it takes time. Dude, listen, it takes time. One of the craziest like lessons in my career, it takes time to actually build relationships with people and to be accessible like that and to be present. Yeah. You know, in LA, you asked me how it was different. In LA, I could go and I have a skill set and it's like, hey, are you available? Yeah. Will you take this pay? Yeah. Okay, be here. Dates and rates. That's all I need to know. Dates and rates. That's all I need to know. When are we shooting? How much you paying me? What is it? Dude, I don't even need to know. Like that's the skill set though. I don't even need to know. I could show up the day of and I'd be like, what are we doing here? And they'd be like, we're in this location and it's sci-fi horror. And I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So kind of like this and this and this. And they'd be like, yeah, you get it. Yeah. Like, cool, okay, cool. That's just the skills applied, you know?
That's easy.
It was very, like, it's very flowy, you know? But here I feel like it's been more, people have clicked hard and they clicked so that they could actually survive. It's like a survival thing.
Yeah,
they clicked so that they could actually make anything, something, you know? Yeah.
A friend of mine who has a cannabis business here, and she's had some in Colorado. She's done some work in some other states as well. She said, you know, everywhere else I've gone, I've had to make myself stand out, you know, to sell my business and make people want to purchase my stuff. But here I have to make myself smaller to make people want to purchase my stuff or pay attention. And it's like kind of like this culture of you need to be in a clique. And that's what I noticed here too. And that's just, you know, it's sort of unfortunate. To say the least.
It is. I agree. And I think like even with me and my brother and I creating home team and like having this establishment of like, you know, our people and, you know, the work that we put in, we're only able to spread the information with the people that we work with. It is like that here, unfortunately, but like you have to play the game in order to change the game. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's a point too. There's this it's like a conundrum, right? In Oklahoma, there's this I call it, it's not necessarily false humility, but it's like this like kick the dirt, like shucks, you know. I'm not, you know, I'm not bad, you know, like that kind of stuff. Instead of being like, man, I'm the best around.
that part.
I'm badass at this. This is my thing.
Yeah.
You want to be better? Cool. Get me involved. Give me a call. I'll work with you. I'll
Yeah,
help you
but
suss it
having
out.
that kind of like confidence, it's for some reason seems to turn people off. And it's like, oh, you just think you're so great, huh? And it's like, well, I just think I'm skilled in what I do and I have knowledge in it and I think I
Then you
can
have the
contribute.
people who are not skilled, ego skyrocket. It's like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? It's crazy. Yeah. So I agree with that. Yep.
So you're asking me what it's like. It's like I'm trying to analyze that, and that's like life stuff, you know, or like, it's why are we socialized like that here? Why do we have to have false humility? And then if you have confidence 9 times out of 10 locally gets mistaken for mad arrogance.
Yeah.
Whereas like, dude, like okay, like in LA, everybody, you have to have swagger. Like if you don't have it, talking about survival mechanisms, if you don't have swagger, no one's gonna believe in you.
Yeah.
If you're not walking around like you're like awesome at it, why would they want you on their set? Like why?
With you growing up here, how is it like? How have you been able to find like that balance of, you know, not necessarily gatekeeping or being true to yourself, but also not being like, you know?
That's a really good question. I can honestly say like there is a bitterness in me towards like, you know, the rap culture, the music culture in Oklahoma City. I don't have no issue with like Oklahoma or Oklahoma City living, you know. So like for me, I guess the only way I saw a post from Dolph and he was like, he built his own circle so he would not have to deal with like weirdos and, you know, outsiders or, you know, people that don't really see the same view. So I think like that's what helped me out is that like I just build my own shit and like I just navigate with the people that, you know, are like-minded and that kind of helps me not walk out with the bitterness like fuck everybody. It's like, nah, if we gonna work together, I'm gonna be transparent with you up front. You be transparent with me up front. Right. If I can help you, you can help me. Let's help each other. And then typically that's like, you know, that's like right down the middle. Like even with me and Blake, our relationship, just being transparent, straightforward the whole time. You know, like the times when I didn't have a job, when I wasn't able to pay for things, he was like, bro, I got you. But I was transparent with him. And then when I was able to make some money, I'm like, hey, bro, I need you to shoot this thing for me, bro. I could throw you some money, you feel me? And then Reap comes in and he throws extra. And it's just like, we appreciate that. That's appreciated, opposed to like, he's done all this shit for me. And then like, when I do get up a little bit, now I can't even think of, that's how this city is. You know, it's like you help the next person, they'll take it and run. So I'm very careful about who I share my light with because, yeah, I can do it.
And there's a point too. I mean, to be fair about like the click stuff, and it is just to be fair. It's like you're gonna call the people that you have built something with. You know, you're gonna call on them. What's crazy is like, what seems. I'm more exclusive than inclusive myself. You know, I'm not necessarily trying to like bring everybody in the world into my thing, especially if I'm trying to protect like the integrity of the project or something.
Yep, definitely.
Because it can get noisy real fast.
Yeah.
But I guess what the rub is just like the rub is this, is like feeling like you have something to offer, like feeling like you have actual skill, and then I guess and so there's this whole other thing, trying to get out of my own way and be accessible and be approachable and be about it in this like show off, like show more of what I can do, and do it with this kind of I don't know what you call it, like
confidence, man. Nonchalant confidence. It's like you know it to the point to where it's like
it's easy. It's like and that's, I gotta tell you too, for what it is, and I understand people like struggling and striving for it. Dude, it took me a long time to get here.
Yes.
It took me a long time, y'all. Like it took me a lot of like I've been frustrated at points, like for like years at a time, you know, just frustrated with like what I had access to and the results I could get. And now that I'm starting to get the results that that I actually want, and that's been a really. I wish I could have done it, 10 years ago.
It's satisfying.
But I'm in that way, and so then it makes it easier to walk with that kind of confidence, where it's like approachable confidence,
Right.
instead of like off-putting arrogance. And like, honestly, the part of the trick is like I'll let them tell me all about it before I say a word about what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I will say I learned from Blake, like even when we first started up the Blunt Convo, like there was certain people that I wanted to interview specifically, and I also feel like that contribute to the culture and to what we're doing. And then you get hounded by people who just want to be on the platform just for the look of it. That haven't really done anything. They don't have no contribution. They don't have anything. And for me, I was almost approaching it with my bitterness, from years ago. And Blake was just like, nah, bro, like there's no point of us being bitter about anything. We control it. We control the price, everything. So if they can't afford it, they just can't afford it. If they can't do this, and here in the city, that was what it was too. I tried to work with so many people, tried to, reach out and build relationships to where like I got kicked over to the side. And I know my shit hard as fuck. So it was like, okay, I don't need none of y'all. Like absolutely none of y'all, And you got to stand on it too. When you make that call, you can't go back, run it. Oh, I need some. It's like, no, that's cool. I wear my own clothes. I don't need y'all's clothes. I don't need y'all's beats. I don't need y'all's verses, music, anything. I can do it myself. And that's what we stand on.
Dude, there's a thing too. I mean, we've got like localism. Some people are really bent like I would say like this. It's like a constraint. It's like a cage. You can live in the cage of localism, and be like, oh, if I can't do it here with these, then like it's your whole life is like short. Yeah, and it's short-sighted. It's very and it's just like, listen, I didn't feel, man, and it's like, it's just about, I think it's more about interests and intrigue and stuff for me. I didn't feel like I found like my people as far as for what I was trying to accomplish until I went to LA. Right. But dude, all of those people go there. All those people go there. So it's like, oh, you're quirky, you're weird, you're eclectic. Yeah. This is like stimulating to my brain, I feel like we connect and all this weird little stuff. It's like cool. Yeah. And then I feel and they understand that I'm as weird as they are, and then it's like, oh cool, so we have this space we hold.
Yeah. So do you guys think like Oklahoma has the possibility in the future for like more diversity, more openness, or do you think it's kind of like locked in where it's at as far as the culture goes? And is it locked in culturally and going backwards, or do you think there's actually room for it to move forward?
From the music culture, and I'll let Blake, of course, speak on like the film culture, because there's a whole film culture, there's a whole music culture. Like, we have so much shit here in Oklahoma that we don't get credited for, bro. It's crazy. Like, even Tulsa King being shot here, like, that's crazy. You feel me? Like,
unprecedented,
bro. And even them talking about bringing the Olympics down here and just shit like that, bro. Like, there's so much for the city to really move forward. So I do have hope and believe that we can push it forward. And I mean, it's an unfortunate thing, but it's fortunate. But a lot of the people who were gatekeeping or who were in charge of things are now moving out the way. Like, their opinions don't matter anymore. We don't have to listen to any one way of doing things, I would tell anybody, fuck recording at a studio and go invest into your own home studio. And that right there, that's gonna fuck up the market. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is, So it's like, yeah, if people continue to actually take the craft and do it their way instead of trying to follow everybody, then yeah, the culture will really go up. And I see more creatives being original now.
Then what you're doing is you're creating the culture instead of chasing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a problem. It's in film and it's in music right now, where everyone is they're vying to be the top and let everyone love them. They want to be the thing that appeals to all people, because then there's like the most money, right?
Right.
But most of the great music or most of the great film and stuff came out of people. They're like, it has to be like this. I have to do it this way.
Right.
And I don't give a shit what anyone else says.
Who was it that said stop making, I think it was Doechii who just recently was saying, to paraphrase, quit making art for the people you think want to consume it, and just make the art you want to make, and they will find you. And I think that that needs to be the case with like so many different aspects of the human condition and how we function in society.
Yeah, yeah. And again, the culture, I believe it is moving in that way. But the best thing about it is that we're in a place to where you can, like, you can make whatever you want out of nothing and be dope as fuck. Like, who else is doing this setup in Oklahoma City? Nobody. Who else is, you know, like, there's things that you can do. Like, you writing your children's books. Like, you can really elevate that and take that to a whole nother level coming out of Oklahoma City, you know? So I feel like the people that's really focused on their crafts is going to blow up.
Yo, you can, and what happens is whenever you take it into your own hands too, and you're creating your own stuff, man, I would admonish people. I'd be like, yo, iterate.
Yeah.
Make something. If you don't like it, if it falls short of where you think it should be, do it again, and like make an adjustment, and then try that, and make an adjustment, and try that, and keep doing that until it feels right.
Right.
Because like perfectionism isn't going to do it, or if you're waiting for like the perfect thing, the perfect circumstances, that's fake, man. That's like imaginary.
Yeah.
So just iterate again.
Straight up. Even changing the narrative of this, like, yeah, it's dope. It was natural coming up with these questions, getting to meet people, interviewing people and shit like that. And that's cool. But like, this is just more natural to me. I just want to talk. I don't want to always have to be this thing, you know? And like, that's what carries the culture here, is the ego. It's the image of what you are trying to appeal to. It's like, we're not LA, we're not Detroit, we're not Atlanta, we're not, you know, we're not that, you know? So at this point, the biggest thing is, being original and authentic with your shit.
Yeah, and just like creating the culture kind of, because it's kind of a blank canvas. Not saying there's not culture. There's deep culture here, you know, when it comes to like Black cowboys and just, you know, natives, Black Wall Street, all of that. There's deep culture here, but I think finding like a culture that people can really get behind and be supportive, you know, behind from all different kind of areas, I think that's definitely possible here. It's like a blank canvas.
Yeah. So now it's just time to get the word. Just saying, fuck the rules. That's what it is. It's fuck the rules. Fuck y'all's OGs.
I mean, yo, even in film, I mean, as much as it is like, as much as it's like budding, I was at a meeting yesterday where they're trying to get more money into the film rebate stuff, and that's with the intention of getting more projects here. And they said that like, you know, years ago it was like $1 million, and that was a big lift, and then it was like 4, and then it was 8, and then it was 30. And now I think they're trying to put like $100 million into it. And it's just like, man, that's from, I mean, for what it is, even though I talk, like, it takes time to build that up, that was from people grinding on it here while I was out, like, you know, refining skill in whole nother place, you know what I mean? And that's just been reiterating and keeping at it and being tenacious. And so if you're that driven, then you can do a lot. Like, you can move mountains.
You can really do it here. Like, you don't have to answer to, like, I've gone to Long Beach, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my Aunt Red. Like, I can go out there, let her know we out there, and, you know, she can make shit happen for us. But I can't go out there and do that myself. I cannot go out there and just move in, you know, so it's like, here, you can really come from out of state. Look at all the people that came down here when we had the weed shit, and fucked it up for the Oklahomans here. You feel me? Like, fucked it up for us here on the weed shit, the cannabis stuff. But like, you can come out here and literally do that.
And I really came out here not really having much of a clue of what I was doing, and like on my own. You know, I had a partner, but at the same time, it was like, I'm doing this on my own. I'm making these connections on my own. And as much as it is cliquey, like, I was able to, you know, make a little bit of a way for myself, you know, not really having a clue what the fuck I was doing.
But now that you know, I'm pretty sure you about to stick your foot in that shit, you know?
I think with the click thing too, it's just like, I think it's a human nature thing, but it's just like, you feel like you have to ease in, you feel like people are entrenched, you know, and they're like, I understand, man, being protective of your thing, you know, or feeling like if you've gone through the struggles together and stuff, you know, that makes for tight bonds.
Man, and there's been some struggles. When I tell you, my brother and I have just faced bullshit. Like, knowing I make like, and that's the thing too. I had to take out. That's what helped with the bitterness. I was gonna say, being entitled. I feel like all artists are entitled. I was very much entitled, and I kind of took like that out of the equation, and like it helped me see shit like, oh, I'm just an artist like y'all. You know what I'm saying?
That's key though.
I think my shit is this, but that's me. That's my opinion. But then once the entitlement stepped out, then I started seeing shit for what it is. Like, y'all niggas is really not on it like that. You know, it's just entitlement.
Yeah. You can be an artist and be a person, you know, and be like, yeah, I mean, this is just another person too.
And that's the part too. That's one thing I noticed about Oklahoma too. It's like, well, how can she be both?
Yes.
You know, it's like, but you said you were a weed smoker. You can't possibly write children's books. And it's like, well, actually, believe it or not, I can do a couple different things.
You're like, I get high and then write children's books.
Yeah.
You feel me? When I started tripping kids, one of the things with the first one, the partners I had at the time, they were concerned about my image and you know, just wanted me to be mindful of how I do things and how I promote my music. And I'm like, first of all, bro, I'm gonna smoke my weed. I'm gonna make the music I make, and I'm still gonna provide what I can for the kids in the community. Yeah. And it was all smooth. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This pot smoker here was on Fox 25 rapping. So it was like, yeah, man, just stick to it. People try to dim your light, make you do all that shit. Cut that.
Yeah, don't let nobody put you in a box.
Yeah, fuck all that. But yeah, that was a great little conversation there. That was like I said, the change up in the direction of what we're doing with Blunt Convo. But yeah, man, stay tuned. Make sure y'all follow us. Follow me everywhere, Trip G Official. Blake, where can they follow you, bro?
I'm at Blake Nolan Brown, or for video stuff, it's like at Meteor Goes Boom.
Yeah, boom. Where can we find you, Lique?
You can find me at Lique420ish on Instagram. And my new Instagram is Lique Be Blunt, where you will find all the podcast info and all that fun stuff.
Hey, we in here. Make sure you follow the Home Team Networking. And yeah, we out.